I had an idea today about how to use AI, and it has nothing to do with business. As a matter of fact, it's way more important than business. It's about parenting. And specifically, it's about how to talk to your kids about difficult topics. In this case, it's drug use. In our family, we have pretty open conversations about drugs and the risks and all the dangers and things like that. We also happen to live in the state of Oregon where cannabis is illegal. And the topic that came up recently is that the levels of THC in a lot of cannabis is so much higher than it ever used to be. And the implications for anyone, especially teenagers, if they experiment with it, they may be exposed to an experience that they are not prepared for. And they may not even realize the risks associated with that. And so, like any good parent, we like to share information. And one of the resources that we look to often is the resource called Screenagers, at screenagersmovie.com, and they have just a lot of good content up there. And the part that really stood out to me is when we put some of this information in screenshots in a text chain, I realized that I didn't have the interest or attention span to look into it, even though the information was relevant and top of mind for me. And I put myself in my kid's situation, a 16-year-old, and I realized that there's no way that they're going to read this and have any interest in the way that we want them to have interest. And that's where I thought that I bet AI could take this and do something. And that's what I wanted to share today is how can you take some really powerful, really informative, and well thought out information and make it relevant to a different audience? In this case, our teenage kids. I don't know that this is going to work with them, but I took some information that was dense and useful for parents, and I took it and made it more relevant for kids. The resource I'm looking at is here. It's a discussion about cannabis and the levels of THC in cannabis and the impact and consequences and risk associated with that. And the author is making a case that a lot of kids have experimented with it, and a lot of kids have reported hallucinations and anxiety, just did not have the realization that there was that much THC in it. So what I did is I made a prompt for Chat GPT, and the prompt goes like this. I want to have a conversation with our kids about cannabis and THC. Basically, I have a resource. I'm going to copy and paste the transcript from this article. And can you take this and rewrite it and reframe it so that's easily understandable by a 16-year-old in high school and interesting to somebody who has a shorter attention span? And the output is profound. I took this transcript, just this portion here, and I posted it in afterwards. And what I got out as an output is amazing. And it's not perfect, but it's different. And I would not have thought about speaking this way. And now I've got a Q&A that models that same resource, but it's something that's easily digestible. And here's a quick, short answer that responds to the attention span of a younger person, and also just in a way that's more relatable. So the takeaway from this is I've got a new way to communicate with my kids, and it's different than what I would have thought of. You have the ability with AI to reframe the question, to expand on things. In this case, I asked it to rewrite it and talk more about hallucinations, and I've got another version of that answer. So now I can pick and choose pieces from this answer that still is pulling from the same context of the article that I put in there, but now I've got a different way to relate that information. And I realize that this approach to talking to somebody of a different generation, this is useful. It gives me a way to interpret information to somebody else. I can instruct ChatGPT about the audience that I want to talk to and have it reframe it in such a way. It's going to be way better at it than I am. I hope this is useful, especially anybody who's a parent out there and is concerned about how do I talk to my kids about drugs. Here's another resource for you. It's free or almost free. It's foolish not to leverage this. This is an amazing use.